This is Julie Roth Novak. I am the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. I know we are just letting people in now, so we're going to wait a couple minutes to get started. We had a really good response to this topic, 7 ways to make your website more engaging and user-friendly. I'm here with Lauren, who's our marketing director, and also heads up everything you can think of, editorial, social media, digital events. She's got an amazing team. And we like to pretend this is kind of like our talk show and you're my sidekick. So Lauren, this is kind of fun.
Just like the Oprah Winfrey show.
Yeah, just like Oprah. I always wanted to be an Oprah, and then the show went off the air and she left Chicago. So I guess I missed my chance. But I'm very excited. We had over 300 people register for the webinar today. Many of you know my background is in website design and development. I ran a digital agency for Central Region called Razorfish, and before that agency.com. So I have 20 plus years of experience. And of course the last 4+ years at PartySlate. And we've learned a lot about best practices, and I have a lot of knowledge in my head. So it was very fun for me to put it all in this deck, and I'm excited to share it with you. So let's just jump right in. And if anyone has questions as we go through it, please let me know. We want to make this very interactive. As most of you know, this is, what number a digital event is this, Lauren?
I think 6 or 7. We've been doing it for almost 7 months.
Yeah. So our goal with these digital events is to share as much digital education as possible during these kind of challenges back to the industry. We've had incredible feedback, and it's actually been really great for us to channel our energy giving back this way, where we know we can make an impact. There isn't a better time to invest in your digital brand and your digital network than right now. So many of you have told me, oh, I wanted to do my website redesign or a facelift. I wanted to work on my PartySlate profile, wanted to organize my photos, improve my Instagram. And now you actually have the time. And again, I always say, you have your Netflix, you have a lot of things you're doing for your job and your team, but this is the time to block out really productive time to up your digital brand across all your channels. So today, we are going to talk about, how it's, again, the website is just one piece of your digital footprint. It's really important to look holistically. It may take over 7 touch points for someone to get the confidence to actually reach out and contact you. But today we're going to focus on one of the core pieces of your digital footprint, which is your website. So the agenda today is 7 ways to make your website more engaging and user-friendly. What metrics you should be looking at. Again, not to geek out too much, but it's really important to understand how your website is performing for you and what areas maybe you need to improve on based on metrics. And then extra credit, we're going to talk about ways to drive high intent traffic. And again, it's all traffic is not equal. You can have a vanity metric about how many people visit your site, but if no one's contacting you for your site, then you're not getting the right type of traffic. And then I have a very simple action plan as I always do at the end of these digital events.
And just a quick reminder that feel free to pop some questions in the chat or in the Q&A. We have people on our team monitoring those, so we'd love to take your questions throughout the event.
Perfect. And I have my chat this time because I felt really left out before, that I couldn't see what everyone was saying. And so Kylie and Lauren were nice enough to show me how. So now I get to see all your shout outs because, it's lonely in this room, isolated here. So I'm just so happy that I'm connected with you guys every week. So before we focus your attention on your website, again, I know this is on so many of your to-do lists, is to up your website. You have to, when I say dust off, your company strategy. It's really important before you dive right into a website review, because the website is a reflection of your business. And I know this may be review for everyone, but it's important to make sure you know, what does your brand stand for? Who is your target audience? What makes you unique or different? If I had only 30 seconds and you gave me your elevator pitch, what's your headline for your company? And really, how do you explain how you're different? And then, of course, if you have any design guidelines, all these things work together and are reflected in your website. And if you don't have it documented, it doesn't have to be like a 60-page business plan. It can literally be 5 slides, or it can be 2 pages. You need to know what these things are before you can effectively redesign your website. So 7 areas to make your website more engaging. I don't know about you guys. I always say I'm trying to keep it simple, not more than 3 things. But for your website, you actually do need to look holistically at it to make sure it's working hard for your business. So I'm going to talk about how to present a strong handshake. Again, if you have only 3 seconds to make an impression, who are you? What do you mean to someone? What does your business do? How to simplify your navigation, really providing a clear overview of your services. This is an area that people miss many times. How to make it easy to view your photos and videos. And again, don't forget your videos. I know your videographers obviously do this. Everyone should be sharing their professional videos. This is an important part too. You know, people buy from people. So your team and telling your story, positioning yourselves as an authority, and then of course, clear calls to action. So what do you want people to do on your website? And only after we talk about these 7 areas, I'm going to give you this little extra credit to talk on your blog and how to make your blog amazing.
We love extra credit.
Yeah, extra credit. I want some extra digital event points for that. So the first area I want to talk about is you need to have a strong handshake. And again, people ask me, what do you mean by handshake? It's really when you meet someone new, you know, who are you? What do you do? Why should I want to learn more? What should I do next? Many of your websites may have beautiful photos, but it doesn't have that clear call to action that helps people understand what you do. So Michelle Rago, we've been working with for a while, love her. I love, number one, she's a destination planner. She actually has video on the site. We'll send you all the links in this presentation afterwards, so you don't have to write this down. And her kind of handshake is your concierge to luxury. Michelle Rago Destinations is a full service boutique planning firm focused on creating amazing events and experiences around the world. And then as a bonus, there's a clear call to action about us, services, and portfolio. And again, very simple design, but it's very elevated. The actual top part is video. So you kind of see through Lake Como and other places. It's very engaging and very simple. So it's very important that really quickly on your page, you have that strong handshake. Don't make me guess. Are you a designer? Are you a planner? Are you a production company? You need to be really clear. Otherwise, we get frustrated when we're helping you with your PartySlate profiles. We sometimes can't figure out what you do when we're researching. And imagine someone trying to hire you if they couldn't figure that out.
We actually have our first comment that I think is a great question, Julie.
Yes.
So the term professional video. So in the previous slide, that's obviously a beautiful professional video. Is it better to use an amateur video that's not as clear and crisp versus no video at all? Or should you really rely on those professional videos from your videographers?
I mean, I think we're one of the few industries that has access to amazing professional videographers who are at our events. And I know we take advantage of that and hopefully promote those videographers along the way for our events. We do interviews at our events. We shoot extra video, not just the recap of the event, but we shoot whatever we can. I would say use professional video if you can. If you can't, I know we're doing a lot of like Zoom interviews with our premium members. There's a lot of ways you can capture video, but on your homepage, I really think professional video is the way to go, especially since we have such easy access to incredible videographers that are so talented. And in many cases, you're referring business to them. I don't want to speak for them, but in some cases, they might be doing things as a payback for, hey, you sent me this referral. Is there some extra footage I could shoot for your website? So I just volunteered them for you. So maybe they'll be mad at me now.
I'll be thrilled.
Yeah. The next thing, number 2, is to simplify your navigation. And many of you do a good job at this, but I feel at times you're missing sections that are really important to your user. And so I say don't get creative here when you're thinking about your navigation. Really be straightforward. The type of navigation I like, of course, for a venue, it's different than a caterer, but a simple about section is important. Team can be underneath about, but I think in our business, because people are so important, I actually like pulling out team as its own section. Services, gallery, press, praise or testimonials, contact. Of course, there's different variations of navigation, but the most important thing is it's very simple and easy to understand. You don't want to make people guess like what's underneath each navigation item. And then also one of my little pet peeves is when you have a mobile optimized site, that's great. You have that little compressed menu. Don't show that compressed menu when you show your desktop. That just makes your visitors do some extra steps. And it also shows I believe that you don't fully understand that mobile, that menu is meant for mobile optimized. So again, maybe it doesn't bother other people, but it bothers me. This is a good example because I actually made the screen smaller. So Linden Lane did a great job of putting the compressed navigation for mobile, and then when it's full screen, it's actually written out in each section. Also, I've seen a couple websites recently that didn't have a contact in your main navigation. That's really a mistake. Even if it's at the bottom of every page on your site, it's very important. Some people might have gotten you as a referral. They just want to contact you right away. Don't make it difficult for you. So I think most of you do have that. But again, I am always surprised when I do see websites that don't have that primary call to action. And if you want to put inquire, whatever word you want to use, it needs to be really clear at the top.
One question back to the homepage really quickly is, so we talked a lot about video. Say you don't have access to video, how should you go about choosing a really engaging photo for your hero of the homepage?
So I say for your hero shot or multiple shots, actually, I'm excited to share next week on the PartySlate profile for our premium members. You will be able to choose 5 cover photos because you might do mitzvahs and galas and weddings and show multiple. But if it's that single photo or multiple photos, think about it when you're doing your Instagram. What images were really engaging and popular and commented on? What type of client do you want to attract? What photos have multiple points of interest, meaning not just one main image, but there might be something, a beautiful aisle and a huppah and other things that can engage them. I do think that imagery on your first page is like a first impression, and you don't have that long to impress them. So it is very important to select photos that represent the type of client you want, the type of work you want, but are also, again, I would in your mind think of it, is this social media friendly? Social media friendly means it's engaging. That's the type of photo you want to select.
Love that.
Okay, so the next one, number 3, is provide a clear overview of your services. And again, the examples I'm showing, there's hundreds of great examples. So just some ones that stood out to me. So for example, for LK events, they have a wedding section, destination, social, and corporate. And then when you click on all those kind of secondary navigation items, there's a clear description of those services. And I think you just want to make it really easy for people to understand what type of events you do, try to leave out industry jargon if you can. For venues, you want, again, this is different than services, but what are an overview of your spaces, the capacities, the features, really simple view of what you have to offer. And again, you don't have to call it services. Many people put types of events. It's really not as important, but you want to know, like, can I identify that I'm a person that would fit for your type of business? Because believe it or not, I think sometimes people are intimidated to contact. Maybe you don't do my type of event, or maybe I'm not the right level. You need to communicate through your imagery, your copy, and your services. Why should I contact you, or am I the right fit for what you do? Any other questions, Lauren?
Not quite yet.
Okay, great. So number 4 is make it easy for people to view your photos and videos. So again, this is Linden Lane that I talked about earlier. I think they do a great job of showing their portfolio view with some great SEO optimized kind of titles here and different types of events, different shots of those events. And then also it's great if you don't have a big gallery view, you don't have a big budget, or you don't have time to do a website redesign, you could include 8 beautiful photos and then say link to your PartySlate profile. Many of you do that for a full view of your portfolio. And of course, you're linking to your Instagram as well. Number 5, introduce your team. And if you're a single business owner, that's great too. Tell your founding story. People want to know what you're made of, what's your history, the experience of your team. And it's less of a LinkedIn bio and more of a storytelling of why you love events, how you got into the industry. You can focus on core values. So here at Paramount Events, who we work with here in Chicago, they're a caterer, but they also have a venue and they have other services. And they do a really great job of introducing the founder, Jody, and also the team. And I think that's, again, people do buy from people. And it's important that you get the personality. So you're not just this cold company with just event photos. And I think that's really important. And I think many of you guys do a great job of your founding story, but don't forget, as part of your founding story, to also include your experience and your team. Next one is really important to position yourself as an authority And it doesn't mean that you have to have 20 pages of press and I've been in Vogue and I've been in this and I've been in that, but you really want to make sure people understand that you have experience in the business. If you do speaking engagements, if you have educational blogs where you have a perspective, leadership roles. I know many of you from WIPA. If you're even a WIPA member, you can put the logo there, testimonials, awards, and badges. So here you can see Sonal Shah has a really, really great built out press section where she's putting her online press, her print press, and again, a link out to those to actually kind of social proof that those are things that she was published in. And then also Kareem, who's got one of the top DJ companies here in Chicago, Quo, he has, featured on PartySlate link showing that he was featured on kind of a premium site. So I think you need to have some section, and it may not need to be its own navigation called press, but some section, even in your about section, where you really build up your authority in the industry. And if you're newer in the industry, I think you can really leverage your blog and thought leadership about certain topics or trends to really get you that authority that is needed.
We have another question about photos, using photos on your website, which is a great question. So it's pertaining to how many photos should you put on your website versus reserving some other photos for a full portfolio so you don't overwhelm people with the amount of your work.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, this really comes down to like time and budget and energy on how much you want to put on there. I believe a snapshot of your portfolio and the different types of events you do is enough. So for example, if you do corporate, wedding, social, you might want to have 3 or 4 kind of images with some storytelling, again, back to SEO. The images are great, but a couple of, a paragraph about the event and some storytelling is also really important for SEO. PartySlate makes it really easy to do your full portfolio. So I've seen some profiles that have 80 events that are, again, it doesn't seem overwhelming because there's multiple pages, and then you link in and you see 30 photos per. Again, our research has shown people can't get enough. Like they want to really stalk you before they hire you, and they want to see their type of event. So the more the better on your PartySlate profile. But for your website, think about the types of events you do. And I say at least 3 or 4 per each event type is a good guide. I don't know, Lauren, if you have a perspective on that.
No, I think that's great. And I think it's like putting your best foot forward to just entice people to either click to view more or to ultimately contact you.
Yeah, and I think the key is every event doesn't and shouldn't be, unless this is your strategy, kind of your best event, over the top, amazing. I think you need especially in the current times, a combination of larger events, smaller events. I think you want to make sure you're accessible so that they're not just thinking large scale events. And again, I have many friends that are planning rescheduling bar and bat mitzvahs, and they are doing the large events, but it's in 12 to 18 months. And that's great. You do want to have those events, but for the next 12 months, we do need to think about some more representative portfolio that has different sizes of events. So number 7 is make sure you have clear calls to action, throughout. I showed you the Michelle Rago homepage that not only does it clearly have a great handshake, it brings you into the 3 sections of the site. I am a little hesitant to recommend right on your homepage, contact me. It's almost like meeting someone for 2 seconds in a bar and saying, will you marry me? You don't do that, right?
A little overwhelming.
A little overwhelming. You want to create a relationship first and get to know them. And then again, you always have the contact button is just a click away. So don't worry. But I think some people feel like right on that homepage, you have to be in their face about contact. I think you'd be better served to have calls to action, for example, on Easton events here. You have your beautiful portfolio and it's view wedding. Again, I'm not saying that you have to do it this way, but something to drive people deeper into your site. The longer they spend on your site, the more engaged they are and the more likely they will contact you. So you will, when we talk about Google Analytics, every website has something called a bounce rate. And it's basically people either got there by mistake or they haven't been there for more than 10 seconds and they're bouncing off. You want to make sure they're there for at least a minute or 2, if not longer, engaging with your brand. And so worry less about having them contact you from the homepage and more about how do you have that next step, that first conversation to get them excited about taking the next step in the relationship. So
we have another question about photos, which is just a very popular topic.
yes.
This is for a particular category, but I think it applies to any individual category. So from a caterer, should I have photos of just my food, or should I have photos from the whole event to show the holistic view of the event? What do you suggest?
I think you should have both, and here's why. I think the food, I call them kind of like the beauty shots of the food. That's amazing. You want to get people excited about it, but I also think they want to picture your food and team in the context of their event. And so I know that sometimes there's beautiful experiences that go along with the food. What level of events are you doing? There's a lot of different interactions, even when you're doing like drop off or other kind of more corporate events. I think you want to see the food in the context, if you can, of the actual event. So I would say make it kind of like a 50-50 mix for caterers. I see a lot of websites where it's just the beauty shots and just the details, and I just don't get a sense for the type of events they do and level of events they do, and I think it's a mistake to do just the beauty shots.
Right. You want to be able to visualize the whole event and how this could play into more than just the food at your own event.
Exactly. So if I'm planning, for example, a gala, it would really be nice to know that they've done some galas. And so we really recommend, I get this question a lot on the PartySlate profile. The PartySlate profile is really a great place to show both details and further back room shots. So it's a good question.
I love that. And then also pertaining to different platforms. So we talked about your website and PartySlate, but then thinking about Instagram, is it more important to have a strong website or a strong Instagram these days, or both?
So yeah, so back to the digital footprint, and I'm going to get to this a little bit as we continue through this section. It is important to have both. And so I don't know how to say it, because I know people are like, oh, can I just pick one? And you really can't, because think about how you research things. Like, so let's say you're redesigning a kitchen or you're buying a new car. You're going to Google it. I promise me that you're going to Google it, because it's the largest company in the world. You're going to Google it to find research. Instagram does not show up there, right? Instagram's a mobile app. You are going to go on Instagram, especially if you're further down the funnel and you're already either researching hashtags or looking for other people that you've heard of, and then you're kind of checking them out on Instagram. But ultimately, the lower part of your funnel is your website. And so they're going to end up there. I promise you, if they're thinking about it. So if you think about how you research things, and I'm going to talk about this later, that's how they're researching you. And I call it stalking, because come on, they are stalking. This is a big decision. And so stalking is multiple channels, and it's not a linear process. So you can't do everything. So for social media, pick one or two channels, or even one that's going to be your primary. But your website and your, again, third-party profiles, you know, I know some of you are like, oh, there's so many. Pick one or two that fit your brand, whether you're going after luxury, mass market, just weddings, multiple, they're going to find you there. So you need to have a strong presence.
Perfect.
I know that's not what people want to hear. They want to do just
no,
one thing. I would be very careful. Many people put all their eggs in the Facebook basket about 10 years ago. The algorithm changed overnight and people went out of business. I'm not saying it's the event professionals, but literally the algorithm change caused a huge disruption to the traffic they were getting. And overnight, you're dependent on one platform. So I would not put all your eggs in one basket.
Love that. And there's some great chat going back and forth between people in the chat, but let's keep going and we'll save a couple questions for a little bit further.
I'm going to talk more about this in a little bit. So we talked about the 7 areas. And so many people are like, have asked me, you know, Julie, I don't have time for my blog. What should I do for my blog? There's a lot of angst around. I know I should be blogging more. I should be, you know, am I blogging too much? Here's the thing. Don't worry about your blog. And I just did a website review yesterday with an amazing planner in Colorado. And she had, I won't say the name, but she had a beautiful section for weddings, and she had corporate, lifestyle, others, and it was like no events. And so it was just an empty page. I'm like, it's better just not to have a blog if you're not going to blog. And so my suggestion to you is focus on the first 7 areas first, your core website. That is the most important. And once you feel good about that, Then start thinking about your keyword strategy and content to build your authority and your brand on your blog. And I would say, blogging once a month, that will build up over time. You don't have to blog every week. You're creating content on Instagram. You're putting your events on PartySlate. You're doing a lot of content creation. So maybe just creating a schedule will lessen the anxiety about how behind you are on the blog. And so when you do start to think about your blog content, really think about, again, I did a whole geeky presentation about SEO, about what are those keywords that you want to rank for. And there are ways, think about your long tail. You're not going to rank for wedding. I'm just telling you, like, it's impossible. Maybe you will, but very few of us will rank for wedding. It's too kind of mainstream, but you could rank for vineyard weddings in Sonoma. And so you want to think about what are those topics that will attract the people you want, and then create content around that. And again, the same goes and for the people that are new, I should have given, a quick intro. So on your PartySlate profile, you can actually create a page that has all your events, your different, from weddings to corporate to mitzvah, et cetera, and create content and event descriptions that are SEO optimized for those categories. It is an easier and less intimidating way to create kind of a blog entry about your events. So if you're overwhelmed by your blog, you can create a free blog entry on your event on PartySlate. If you don't have the time to do it, and you want us to do it, we have a white glove service that we can do it for you. So that is, again, about blogs. My biggest recommendation, because I hear a lot of angst about this, is first work on the 7 areas. Your website should have an amazing handshake. The navigation's simple. It's easy to view your portfolio. And then focus on something that you can accomplish and feel good about, such as a monthly blog. And if you do more than that, extra credit. Content marketing is the future. That's great. But you're already doing a lot of content creation on social media, on PartySlate, other channels. Maybe once a month is a good goal for you. Again, or not at all if you can't do it. Any questions, Lauren, before I geek out even more on Google Analytics?
Nothing about blogging yet, but I'll save a couple for the end.
Okay, great. So when you think about, how is your website working for you? And again, I've done this talk on SEO. You want to make sure load times are fast, it's mobile optimized, and you cannot forget all those things. But you really want to identify what is kind of your North Star metric. What's the most important thing to you? Is it time spent? You're building your brand? Is it inquiries that come through to you, which is from most people on this call? That's what it is. It's not just number of inquiries, but it's the quality of the inquiries that are coming to you. So what we suggest you track to see how engaging your website is, you want to look at, your unique users weekly and monthly. Again, Google Analytics has lots of free training. You can actually get certified. Our team, we have a full team of Google Analytics experts at PartySlate that are certified. That's also extra credit. You do not need to get certified, but you do need to understand the basics of Google Analytics, or you need to have someone that can help you with that, which is just as fine as well. You want to look at what are your top website pages. So don't spend a lot of time redesigning a page that no one ever visits. In fact, you might wonder, why do you even have that page if no one's visiting that? You want to look at what your traffic sources are, your bounce rate, I mentioned that before, time spent on site. And then when I say conversions, I'm not saying they're actually going to hire you, like click, put your credit card in. It's actually your conversion in many cases is they contact you just to learn more, just either, in this case, set up a Zoom in-person meeting when things get back, hopefully, to normal. And again, I would go through like Google Analytics. I don't want to say for dummies, because I'm not an expert in this either. My team they are the experts. I learn from them, but there are so many free videos on YouTube, on Google site to learn Google Analytics. I remember before I started PartySlate, I was, again, an executive running Razorfish, and I wasn't in the details of Google Analytics. I was even intimidated by it. And I hear 20 years of experience. It isn't that hard, you guys. It's really not. And Lauren is much better at Google Analytics than I am, but it's very, very easy to create simple reports or just use the default reports that they provide.
And I think we have a couple more questions. So back to blogging really quickly. This is a great question. So you mentioned, once you create a blog, you want to push it out into multiple channels. What do you define as channels is the question.
So once you create a blog, you want to share it on Facebook. You want to put it in your email newsletter. Our next week's topic, which I'm very excited about, is email marketing. I think it's actually, yes, we're enamored with Instagram. Trust me, we are enamored with Instagram too. But email marketing is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And many of you on this call do a great job with it. But you're basically like, how are people going to know that you wrote this amazing blog? So, if you build it, they will come. They will not know. They're not like, I wonder what's new on the blog today. They're not going to do that. So you have to figure out how to get them to find it. And so it could be as simple as email newsletter. It could be as simple as a little notification on your homepage. Again, social media is by far the easiest way to do that. So every time we write a feature article on PartySlate, it's not just that feature article. We push it out to all of our channels and make sure people know that there's an incredible article in our best of section.
And then one more, and then we'll keep going. But so this question is about how many galleries somebody has on their website. So right now it looks like she has 21, and she wants to keep adding more. Is her website the best place to add those? And is that too overwhelming?
So again, this might be a biased opinion, but I think you need to have enough on your website that it's relevant, there's enough content. And if it's really easy for you, so you have like a content management system where it takes you 5 minutes to add a new event, the more content, the better, as long as it's meeting your strategy. What our goal on PartySlate is to make it the place where you have your fullest view of your portfolio without having to hire a developer to worry about your website optimization. Everything is built in. If you have it set up in a way and you have the time to keep it up to date, I don't think there's a downside to doing it on your website. I would just make sure it's very, very easy to navigate. The pages load and are optimized so that it's quick page load, so you don't want to have a heavy page. But I don't know, Lauren, what your perspective is. I mean, content marketing is king right now. So
yeah.
if you have an easy way to do it, do it. That our goal on PartySlate is once you put your events up there and you credit your partners, it has that network effect where it goes out to all your event partners' profile pages too. But I say more is better as long as it's easy.
I agree. And I think if it's not easy for you, PartySlate is really easy. So no matter where you're going to add it, make sure that you have a lot of content somewhere. So whether that's us helping you do it or being able to quickly do it on your website, content is super important, and it is what represents your brand at the end of the day.
Yes.
One more question on this slide. So for metrics, this is a handful of metrics, and there's obviously so many more things that we track for PartySlate and that you could track on a regular basis. How do you decide if you're going to choose one metric, which is the most important one for your business if you're an event professional?
Yeah, so I think for an event professional, unless you are, David Tutera and others that have lifestyle brands in addition to events, really the bottom of the funnel is inquiries and contacts. And so I would be hard pressed if that is not the key metric for most of you. That said, many of you have, again, lots of inbound referrals. That's great. A lot of times these referrals do come through your website or your PartySlate profile. They've heard of you through someone else. They're stalking you a little and they're contacting you. So I don't know, Lauren, what your thought is, but I would say it is important that you understand the full funnel, because the more at the top leads to the more at the bottom. Mm-hmm. But if it's a single North Star metric, I would say qualified inquiries make the most sense, again, unless you have some other initiatives you're working on.
Right, because I think that means that ultimately you're getting the right traffic to the site if you're also seeing those conversions. But I think that speaking of funnel, I think that that's a great segue into your next section. And I think that'll really help explain, there are different metrics that are associated with each of these stages of the funnel. And I think that maybe choosing one key metric for each of these funnel stages is the way to go, because then you really understand how is the traffic coming in, what are they doing on the site, and then are they ultimately contacting me?
Yeah, I think the reason why we're talking about the high intent website traffic and not just traffic is, for $100, you can buy a ton of traffic on Facebook, and it might lead to 0 inquiries. And so we think less is more. And so going after that target that you're looking for and investing in content creation, even if it's less people, that is the way to go. So when you think about how to get that traffic, clearly your social media strategy is important. And I know I've said this before, but don't forget about LinkedIn. And I know, Lauren, we're talking about TikTok. Yay.
We are talking about TikTok. TikTok is the future.
TikTok is the future. SEO strategies, really, really important. So when someone's searching for a very specific term, Do you have a shot at some specific content that matches or almost a direct match to that? Speaking engagement and webinars, I mean, a great way. Whenever we do these speaking engagements, we see a lift to our website when we do our launch parties. And I forgot to put that events are also a great way when you've done an event and you're linking in social media and then they visit your website. Of course, media placements and getting that really invaluable link back to your site. And of course, PartySlate third-party platforms are also great ways to drive traffic. And then our topic next week, and again, I'm really excited about this one, geek out some more, is that email marketing is an under leveraged channel that you've already spent years building up this great list of clients and prospects and event partners. Email marketing, again, many of you do a great job with this, is another great way to drive traffic either back to your blog or back to your website.
And really quick before you keep going, we're seeing some people from Paris and Toronto asking if—
Hi, Paris.
Yeah, we love international. And yes, the answer is we would love to create a PartySlate profile for you, even if you're in Toronto or Paris or wherever you might be. So please follow up and we'd love to help you with that.
Yeah, we have at least 1,000 profiles, probably more by now, outside of the US. We have many in Mexico. We don't yet have language conversion. That's kind of down the road for us. But the thing is, there's so many English global countries, but also US brides and grooms and others that are planning destination events. And so we've seen a lot of traffic increase in Europe and even places like Australia, which is very exciting over the last year or so. So when I look at the funnel, again, this is, every funnel is different, but we believe inspiration marketing, top of funnel, is very important. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how this path might look, but people are looking to get inspired well before their event, and it is a good time to insert your brand into the inspiration conversation, whether it's on your blog, your PartySlate profile. We have sections like the real events and photo section that is very, very engaging. Of course, Instagram is really important. Then they're going to start researching their event partner team and their venues. It's a very high consideration purchase. I always have to explain to our venture capitalists, like, this isn't like a click to buy process. It would be great if it was, but it really isn't. Imagine if you're redesigning your kitchen, like, yes, I'll buy that. It doesn't work that way. Once they consider, they're going to contact you. They may contact you through PartySlate, through your website. I know many people said they get contacted through Instagram. You don't care where they come from. You just want to make sure you're easy to contact. And then there's the whole proposal and kind of what I call scoping in my old website language, scoping and proposal and budget creation. There's booking, and then the kind of highest form of lead is kind of that referral network. And I think it's so important to really get those referrals flowing, and you can use the photos and videos from your events to not only get referrals from your event teams that you've worked with, but also your clients. And I think many times we don't ask for those referrals, and I think and many of you do, but that's a really important step in the process.
And I think one question actually we got two questions about LinkedIn and how that plays into that first bullet point. Does LinkedIn fall into that category of social media in terms of how you could drive traffic to your website?
Absolutely. So I'm going to just jump to this next page because I think this is kind of a good view of, how the actual customer journey actually works. It's not like they go, I'm going to go from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4. And you guys know this, if you actually paid attention to your own purchasing, habits and how you do things, it may take 7+ touch points before they contact you. So there might be on Pinterest and PartySlate and Instagram. I will say on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn every day, and I do see inspiration articles. And it's not like I'm going there like, oh, I wonder what I should do for my centerpieces. I'm not going to LinkedIn for that, but you may be casually browsing through the feed, just like you do on Facebook, and see something that catches your eye, maybe about a corporate event, and click on it like, oh, that's a good idea. I should do that.
Or it's all about, like, if you get those press hits or those media placements, put them on LinkedIn. That's the perfect place. And then drive them there. And then that could drive you to your website. So it's all about how they all work together.
Yeah. And our focus, again, at PartySlate is we are not a proposal generating system. Again, there's too many different variations. I think we mapped out, there's like 29 questions you need to answer before you can actually get a venue proposal. There's a lot of things that you guys need to do that. But our goal is to help on the inspiration side, the research side, the consideration in partnership We know it's not the PartySlate show. I wish it was only the PartySlate show. It's not. It's going to be Instagram, Pinterest, PartySlate, Google. Don't forget about Google. Again, I know I'm saying this, so obviously everyone starts in Google, even if you're an Instagram, obsessed with Instagram, and think about what are these multiple touch points? How do they work together to create a holistic digital footprint? And so the question earlier about, can I just do Instagram? I hope this answers it. Like, Instagram may be your primary channel. That's amazing. I hope for everyone's sake that overnight the algorithm changes and all of a sudden no one's seeing your posts and those days are coming. And that's why I always say LinkedIn and others are more organic and open. So again, Instagram can be your number one, but just make sure you look great at these other channels. They will look for you on these other channels. It's not going to be just Instagram. Am I preaching too much? I get excited.
I love it. And I love this graphic.
Yeah. I mean, this is the way it works when you're making these decisions. Okay. So as far as your website action plan, there's 3 simple steps. 1, perform a basic website audit and, review these 7 areas. How do you stack up? And again, there's nuances for venues, caterers. And again, the hotels, I feel for the hotels. I feel for everyone, but the hotels oftentimes have these very rigid corporate content management systems that they have little control over. And the reason why, and I learned this very early on, Four Seasons in Chicago and others love PartySlate so much, is they have the flexibility to show a gala, a bar mitzvah, and not just 3 all-white wedding photos on their event section that's like 6 clicks down. So look at your website and conduct what I call light user research. And again, I'm happy, because I love doing this, to review your website. It takes me 15 minutes to give you feedback on those 7 areas. But ask people that aren't in your company, give me feedback on the website. Ask them, tell me what you think I stand for, what I do, how to contact me, etc. Then decide, based on that assessment, do you need what I call a facelift or a redesign? And again, I know a lot of people do not want to spend $10,000 or $5,000 on a big website redesign. And so a facelift may be perfectly fine. Maybe you just need some consulting hours or some really tweaks to your website. It doesn't need to be perfect. Again, if you have one of those old websites with like Flash built in and carousels, you might want to think about a full website redesign if it doesn't work on mobile. But if you don't have one of those sites and you need some tweaks, really create kind of a budget and a project plan. If you can do it yourself, many of you on the phone are amazing with Squarespace and other templates. That's great. But also know that you can have a really good, solid handshake for your website and then link to a richer view of your portfolio on PartySlate. When you have that kind of scope of what it is for your website and rough timeline, I think that's important too. You need to compare that investment of both time and money to your other priorities of what you need to do. Maybe your Instagram is not at all where it needs to be. Maybe you need help posting your photos and organizing your photos on PartySlate and doing more of the network marketing to build your brand. And then you just need to make a decision. Like, am I going to do this now, or am I going to do it later? Or am I going to do nothing at all? In some cases, my co-founder, John Hauer, always says, sometimes the best decision is to do nothing at all. It's good enough. So again, I'm not encouraging you to right now create this huge budget to do a website redesign, but I am telling you, if those 7 areas aren't met, you might be hurting your business. And so that's all I'm trying to say. Lauren, any questions on this?
No, I think we asked all of them throughout the presentation. So I think we're all set, unless anybody wants to pop one final question into the chat. I can relay it to Julie.
Okay. Well, I'll keep going on like how we can help, and then we can take some questions. So the things that we can do to help you, and again, our goal right now during these uncertain times, until we get back to normal, and again, our traffic's staying strong, thank God, on PartySlate. People are still wanting to get inspired. They still want to plan events, whether they're small or pushed out to next year. Is we can help you take an objective look at your website and give you kind of some suggestions on how to fix it, and little things that maybe because you're so close to it, you don't see it. And again, after doing it for 20 plus years, it's really easy for me to see things. Like, I looked at a site yesterday that it was beautiful, but it had all italics for navigation. that's hard from an accessibility perspective, easy, harder to read. Little things like that, I'm happy to give feedback on based on these 7 areas I presented. Also, we're happy to review your PartySlate profile. All these 7 areas that we discussed translate pretty much one for one to your PartySlate profile. We have a strong handshake, a view of your work, an easy way to contact you, making sure people understand what you do, the types of events. I'm happy to do that. If you don't have a profile, we're happy to build you a free profile as well. And then I also have collected a few websites, and there's hundreds of amazing websites out there, but we've collected a few examples of some best practice websites and different planner, venue, caterer, etc. And again, we're not trying to pick on anyone or point anyone out, but we see a lot of these websites and some of them aren't so great. So when we see some good ones, we try to collect them and help you by showing some best practices. And then finally, I mentioned this earlier, our next digital event, also very excited about, is our email marketing best practices. And I have to say, I've heard from so many of you that, and again, I take zero credit for this, our marketing team has one of the best email newsletters I've ever seen. The open rate is through the roof, both for consumers, people planning these events, and event professionals. And we've really learned a lot over the last 4 years on email marketing best practices. And we actually have a dedicated email marketing team that we've built over the last year. And they are like, I'm learning so much from them. Again, A/B testing on headlines. I mean, things that maybe you don't need to do for your business, but we are really, really focused on email marketing. We're doing community, city-based emails. We're doing national emails. We're doing triggered emails. You're going to be seeing a lot more of those. You've been credited emails. It's a really important part of what we do. And so we can share some of those best practices in a really simple way. I'm excited to do that next week on Tuesday.
That's going to be a good one. And I'm seeing a couple questions on Instagram and some other social media, I think. And on the next slide, Julie, maybe if you go to the Q&A,
yeah.
This landing page on PartySlate actually has all of our previous recordings from our past digital events. And we did one recently on Instagram. So if you also send an email to that digital events email that Kylie put in the chat, we would be happy to send it to you as well.
Yeah, and we do have templates for every digital event we've done. And again, they're very, very simple because we don't want to overwhelm everyone. We know it's a very kind of stressful time. People are working from home, but we've created really simple templates and formats to help you organize your photo, optimize your LinkedIn profile, really make sure that Instagram is working hard for your business, giving you website examples that will help you kind of look at your own website and, hey, what could I do better to make it easier? So we put together these very, very simple templates that will help you. And then we'll also, someone asked me for how to get smarter on SEO. I have like 15 links. Again, you can get an MBA in SEO online. You don't have to pay anyone for this. It's very, very easy to get free training on SEO. So we want to give you as many resources as we can to help this industry come out stronger the other side.
Absolutely. And I think that's it. We're excited for the event next week. And as always, if you also email that email address, we'd love to take your suggestions for future digital events as we continue to plan these out.
Yeah, absolutely. So every week we're going to be doing these. And then on top of this, we're going to be doing a lot more Instagram lives. So I know we have Rebecca Minkoff, who is an amazing designer. She's based in New York. I should know this. And we're going to be giving away a $250 gift card to get an awesome Rebecca Minkoff bag. And we did David Tutera last week and Mindy Weiss. So we're really just trying to, provide valuable content, inspire people, and hopefully help you guys, work on your business. I know everyone is so busy in this industry working in the business and not enough time in the day. Well, now we do have time in the day and at night too. That's when I do my best work. So we're hopefully going to give you business building ideas that you can do either on your own or, again, we're happy to help you.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to see you guys again next week and looking forward to another great topic.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your time. We know there's a lot of webinars out there and digital events, and every week you continue to give us great feedback, good ideas. This is kind of like the highlight of my week where I put makeup on.
Like a real human.
Yeah, and we just really appreciate everything you guys are doing, getting by, your innovation. We're going to get through this, and I know we have a hashtag called Celebrate Soon. We're really excited to hear what you're excited about celebrating soon or past events that you want to feature. So continue to use that hashtag. It's been really popular. And I know, Lauren, we're featuring some of those on our feed.
Yeah, we'll continue to feature them as they come in every Friday. So post them and take a look to see if we'll feature you on our Insta stories.
Great. Well, thank you again, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.